So hello, welcome everybody to the fourth and last module of our English for Logistics course. Today is class 1 of International Contracts and Negotiations. As always with us, the teacher Mauricio Sebastiani. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Simon. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final module for this English for Logistics course. And we reserve the best for last because negotiations and also contracts are a very important aspect of the logistics and the supply chain process as a whole. Companies more and more are focusing on this important role of these areas that we're going to cover in this module. So we will try to make it more dynamic and give you the taste and the sense of how things happen and the level of vocabulary and attitude related to negotiations and contracts. Okay, so with no further ado, let's start and share our presentation. All right, if you already seen, we can go forward. All right. Okay, so first slides are obviously some of the tips that we will also bring. We always bring to our students in the beginning of each module. So these are very important tools and tips for the students to get the best out of the contents that we'll be sharing here. And as for the keywords in the first class, we bring the keywords from this class actually. So we will also start getting used to what we will cover in this class. So Simon, if you please.
Sure. Number 1, purchasing. And it's very important to emphasize this word because the tonic syllable is the first one, purchasing. 2, competitive price. 3, procurement. 4, contract negotiations. 5, product life cycle. 6, relationship management. 7, strategic goals. 8, cost effective. 9, long-term value. 10, strategic sourcing. 11, optimized value. 12, cost savings. 13, anchoring. 14, win-win negotiation.
Thank you so much, Simon. And for an extra activity we sent it to you last week was to take a look at the role of procurement, and we chose Susan Spence, Sue Spence, which is the Chief Procurement Office at FedEx. And I hope you had the chance to watch it. And then we will cover some of the contents that she explained it to us very well, what it is to be a VP of procurement and sourcing in a global logistics provider as FedEx. Okay, so if you watch the video, you will see the first thing, which is the VP posture, okay, Vice President posture, which means that especially in American companies, they have this position as the vice president, and they have vice presidents for each of the main areas of each of the company. And the role of the VP is to embody this feeling of what is the objectives and the purpose of what they do and what they are responsible for. And if you pay attention to the way when she introduces herself, the way she speaks about FedEx, She says, I'm Sue Spence. I'm the Vice President Procurement and Sourcing at FedEx. And you can see her smile, the way she speaks. That's a very interesting posture of a VP. Good attitude and confidence, okay? The other very important thing that she gives us the idea that at FedEx, procurement involves the purchasing of everything but planes and airplane parts, which means that they are pretty much responsible for the expenditure of everything that is needed for their process, for their activities to deliver the value that they want to their end customers. Okay, another very important figure that she told us is about her expenditure for a year, which can vary from 15 to 17 billion dollars, depending on fuel. So can you imagine fuel? Obviously, now we're talking about a logistics company, but the fuel can be responsible for 10% increase on their expenditure over a year. So I'm pretty sure they keep a good eye on negotiations with fuel with their partners, right? Another very important thing that she taught was about the legal teams that they have and contract management. We will cover in this module the importance of the legal area, which are responsible for negotiating and creating contracts with for these partners. And we will see later on what's the importance of having a contract with your partners, and this is also something very important, obviously, in the procurement area. And also a characteristics of procurement that we'll see is the centralization of all their purchases. Expanding their scope. What else can they do to bring more to their hands and freeing up the team for more high-level thinking? That's amazing. This is this is specifically what procurement, the highest level is, which gives you the opportunity to free your team to look at more important and strategic aspects of their role without having to worry about if they're going to have uniforms, if they're going to have fuel, if they're going to have boxes. So this is very interesting, the way she put it. Also, a strategic role in international logistics. As for me particularly, I see as procurement as one of the highest paying jobs in the whole supply chain logistics departments that we cover so far in this course. And I think that you, if you have the chance of getting a little deeper into procurement and what it and the importance that the importance for the company, you will give you more value to your role into the company. So I believe that this, even more than the last mile technologies that we cover in the last module, I believe that procurement is the most and the highest paying positions in logistics. And as we talked at the end of our last module, that logistics as a whole is becoming a value added to the company. So we will seek for adding value to these internal processes that 10 or 15 years ago, they were just seen as costs. They were just seen as part of the business process. and more often, companies are relying on logistics and strategic procurement for adding value to their customers. All right. So the first topic that we will cover in this class today is the difference between purchasing, okay, and procurement. Big words, right? As Simon said in the beginning, purchasing with the intonation and procurement. All right. So what's the difference between these two roles? Okay, purchasing. Purchasing is the process of buying goods and services. It focuses on the transactional aspect, which includes activities such as ordering, expediting, receiving, and fulfilling payments for the items purchased. What's the scope of purchasing? It's a narrow scope, primarily concerned with obtaining the items needed at the right price, the right time, and the right quality, as we've seen earlier. What are the activities involved in purchasing? Ordering, invoice processing, receiving goods, and payments. And the goal of purchasing ensures that goods or services are acquired efficiently and at a competitive price to meet immediate needs. Okay, so we've covered this in other modules, and obviously, if you're in a smaller company or a company that is growing and have a purchase area that's becoming more on focus, the natural path, the development of purchasing is to go into a procurement area, which is a broader term that encompasses the strategic aspects of acquiring goods and services. It involves the end-to-end process, okay? They are able to look and analyze from one end to another how that process is connected to their internal areas, and they look for identifying their internal needs and manage supplier relationships through contract and solid negotiations. The scope for procurement is covering, once again, the entire life cycle of acquiring goods, okay? The full process and services, including planning, sourcing, which we'll cover later on, negotiation, and ongoing supplier management, okay? Because procurement is on a larger company, such as FedEx. Procurement is the relationship, because we have a relationship with our customers, and it's very important that we pay attention to their needs and the changes that our customers go through in their buying process. But it's also very important to look at our supplier relationships, because they're the ones giving us the materials, giving us the raw materials, the products that we will then transfer it or sell it to our end customers. So it's very important to keep a good relationship with our suppliers, not just being nice, but being fair. Okay, so the activities of procurement includes market research, vendor evaluation, okay, so our suppliers and constant evaluation, negotiation, contracting, purchasing, logistics, and supplier relationship management, as we covered so far. And the goal is to ensure that the organization's strategic goals are met through cost-effective and sustainable acquisitions of goods and services, often aiming for a long-term value and relationship. Obviously, we will see that it's not depending of your situation, what you buy, what you sell. It's good to have one supplier that you can buy with larger quantities and have a forecast very well negotiated, so that company reduces its risks of doing businesses with us. And obviously, all these details, they have a value added to their relationship. So procurement is responsible for keeping a constant eye on all these items, all these interventions in the process to show to our suppliers that we would like to have a long-term relationship. Okay, so the principles of procurement, obviously, as someone that is working within this procurement area, is value for money. Okay, ownership. This is very important, because when we exercise ownership, especially in procurement, we are saying to our company, our suppliers, that we feel responsible for that money that is being invested. So that give us more guarantees whenever we are negotiating, not only just buying because we need to buy. That's purchasing, okay? Another very important aspect for procurement is fairness, okay? But like I said, it's not just being nice and good. Both sides have their needs. So the idea of procurement is finding fairness in their negotiations to reach a win-win result, okay? Another very important aspect is competition, because like I said, we have to be fair and we have to have a good relationship with our suppliers, but that doesn't mean that we are not going to keep looking at the market, keep looking at what the competition is offering to their customers, to their clients, and use that and benefit for a better negotiation whenever we have the chance to do so. Obviously, a very important keyword here is efficiency. Always seek added value in all your activities. Transparency, obviously, we know that there are in negotiations, there are informations that are confidential. That doesn't mean that you will hide that from your negotiations from your suppliers. There are documents, legal documents, once again, that will help you open up these informations and negotiate with confidentiality, such as a document that we call NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, which once it's signed, all the information that is being brought to that negotiation is secured by this document as being confidential. Integrity, obviously, when you offer integrity as a value, the negotiation becomes more solid, and the long-term partnership is it's more likely to happen, right? And obviously, accountability, right? It's your name on it. I work in procurement, and it's in a very common characteristics of the buyers. If they're not confident, or for some reason they don't show the values of the company in the negotiation, usually suppliers, they don't want to lose your account, so they usually go to your boss and try to negotiate directly. So this is something that when we work in procurement, we have to be focusing, because if they bypass us, sometimes maybe we're not being accountable for what we're negotiating, or we're not being transparent enough in this negotiation. Okay, so these are very important aspects in procurement. This is a very interesting picture regarding the procurement transformation, right? Because as we discussed, in smaller companies and maybe mid-sized companies, purchasing is pretty much the main area that takes care of some of these aspects of supplier negotiations and long-term relationships. But when we see a FedEx, how they handle their procurement, we can see that they are creating a transformation in the whole company. So transformation, procurement transformation will bring efficiency to contract management, which we will cover in this module. Also material planning and optimization, which is something that we've been discussing since the beginning of this course. And strategic sourcing, which we will also cover in this module, always focusing on value, okay? The value that people add to their services, to their negotiations, through the strategic sourcing and contract management, right? So we can see this cycle repeating itself and getting better and getting more solid, that will give the company more power whenever negotiating, and also will give you more strong relationships with your suppliers. Okay, so this is a very important picture of how procurement play such an important role on companies nowadays. All right. So let's talk about strategic sourcing. Okay, so just focusing that procurement involves activities in all these areas doesn't mean that they are responsible for every process, specifically regarding material planning and optimization, but strategic sourcing and contract management are the pillars for procurement transformation. And what is strategic sourcing? Strategic sourcing is a comprehensive approach to procurement, okay? So it's a layer into the procurement mindset that aims to ensure the long-term alignment of an organization's purchasing activities with its overall strategic goals. All right, so now we are looking into finance, we're looking into accounting, we're looking into numbers. And for you as logistics workers and partners, if your boss doesn't think like that, probably his boss will see through these eyes of meeting the long-term partnerships, purchasing activities, because they happen often and they're needed, sometimes not, but we'll have to align this with the strategic goals of the company. If your CFO, the Chief of Finance Office, brings a goal that we will have to reduce 15% of our costs in fuel, for example, he's not saying that we have to buy 15% less fuel to do our job. It means that procurement and strategic sourcing will be responsible for looking for sourcing. This is a verb that we use, sourcing for materials, looking for better negotiations to meet the strategic goals of the company. So it involves analyzing and planning the procurement process to optimize value derived from purchasing goods and services, reduce costs, and improve efficiency and supplier relationships. Strategic sourcing is an ongoing process because you are continuously monitoring your operations and your purchasing activities, your contracts, and renegotiating your contracts and adapting to changes in the market conditions. As we see today, we have wars, we have the currency ratio, we have geographical limitations that might occur from time to time. So the strategic sourcing is this big eye on this layer that involves purchasing activities, because finance, they are the ones that have the money. Okay, accounting, they are the ones who put the numbers on the books, but purchasing first and then procurement are the ones that have the key to the safe. Okay, that's why we have to be very well aligned to the strategic goals. To every time we open that safe to take money from the company, we are pretty much sure that this money is an investment and not a cost. Okay? And the process of sourcing. Simon, could you read it to us, this process of sourcing?
Sure. Number 1, define requirements. Understand and document what the organization needs to buy. Number 2, conduct market analysis. Research the market to identify potential suppliers and understand pricing trends. Number 3, develop a sourcing strategy. Create a plan that outlines how the organization will approach the market and select suppliers. Number 4, solicit bids or proposals. Issue requests for proposals, RFPs or quotes, RFQs, to potential suppliers. Number 5, evaluate responses. Assess supplier proposals based on predefined criteria. And number 6, select suppliers. Choose the suppliers that offer the best combination of price, quality, and service.
Thank you. Perfect. So this is a combination of very important activities that are very tied to strategic sourcing. It's pretty much self-explanatory, but we can see here that when we say that strategic sourcing is involved with market analysis, right? We are researching the market. Do we have the best supplier? Are we offering the best products, right? Isn't there any new products or services that are coming and can maybe be added to our products, to our end customers? Strategic sourcing strategy, once again, right? You have to have a plan how we will approach the market with these needs, because if we don't have a purpose, we don't have a clear understanding of what we want on each negotiation, we will see further on that can make more difficult for us to compromise and bring our suppliers or the other side of the table to compromise their side as well. When we, item number 4, when we say bids and proposals, RFPs, they stand for request for proposal. Okay, so we go to the market with a document, a very clear document where we outline the scope of what we need, the characteristics of the products that we want, how they want them to be delivered or offered, or specific characteristics, and we go to the market. Okay, it's not only just calling the suppliers and in different times, and maybe not leveling up what their proposals are, because if we don't balance each characteristics, we might not be fair, or we might not see the benefits on each of the categories that we will negotiate. And RFQs are requests for quotations. Okay, so that gives to our suppliers an idea that we are okay. If I'm looking for a proposal, it's different than when I'm looking for a quotation. Okay, so there are different approaches to these negotiations that most of the times are conducted by the purchasing guys, but the strategic sourcing is responsible for creating this document to send to suppliers and conduct these bids. Okay, and so now we will look into the benefits of strategic sourcing. Okay, so we have processes involved with the strategic sourcing and the benefits that are more feasible that we can see once we create this culture, ongoing strategy in the business. Simon, could you please read it to us?
Sure. Cost savings. Achieving lower prices through volume discounts, better negotiations, and optimized supplier selection. Quality improvement. Ensuring higher quality of goods and services through better supplier management and selection. Risk mitigation. Reducing supply chain risks through careful supplier evaluation and relationship management. Innovation, encouraging suppliers to innovate and improve their products and services. Alignment with business goals, ensuring that procurement activities support the organization's strategic objectives and long-term goals.
Right, thank you, Simon. So
Sure.
I think we've covered all these keywords in previous classes, and this is what the C-level of the company wants to hear. Right? They want to see the big picture. They want to see cost savings not on the penny. They want to see cost savings on long-term negotiations. Obviously, they want to improve quality. And sometimes we can, through establishing a stronger partnership or relationship with our suppliers, we also can get into their processes and show to them the idea of what the company expects from their products, right? So I worked at a company that had a lot of suppliers in China, and obviously back then quality was a big issue because those were the standards of that company, of that supplier, maybe because that's what they were offering for the price of that product, or maybe because their customers were not complaining about quality, so they pretty much thought that would be the best level. And me and my friends, my coworkers and I, we organized a trip to China. I didn't go, but I was managing the Brazilian end whenever they were there. And this team went to the company in China, and they looked at each individual process regarding the quality of the products that we expected from them. And we pretty much gave them a consultation. We gave them some important tips that after a while we saw a quality improvement in their products without rising the price, just changing their processes. Obviously, that helps with the mitigation of risks, especially in international level. And innovation today, we've seen that this is something that it's embedded into the strategic goals on each area of the company. We have to think outside the box. We have to encourage our suppliers to innovate, maybe to even invest in their company, so that this added value that procurement and strategic sources bring to the suppliers, they will also offer to other customers as well, right? And alignment with business goals as usual. That's something that is very strategic, okay? So now that we cover the importance of strategic sourcing, we will see how these areas, how these activities, they are rolled out, as we say, into negotiations. Okay, we have to be very confident with the strategic goals. We have to be very clear in what we expect from our each negotiation, and knowing these tools and benefits from sourcing and procurement will help us to develop a better negotiation strategy with our suppliers. Okay, it's not only about reaching the middle price. Okay, it's about getting the best solution to the company. So negotiation in procurement is a critical process where buyers and suppliers come to mutually beneficial agreements. Okay, so once like we said before, each side have their goals. They want to profit from what they do. So a successful negotiation always will reach a mutually beneficial agreement between the two parties involved. This process involves discussions and bargaining to settle the terms and conditions under which goods or services will be acquired. Effective negotiation can lead to cost savings, improved quality, better delivery schedules, which is also very important, and stronger supplier relationships. Once again, costs, we have something that we call hidden costs, and sometimes these hidden costs are within our suppliers' products or services. Okay, sometimes if you don't have a strong negotiation, if you don't have a view for the end-to-end process, you can leave out of the negotiation table items that later on can come to us as extra costs or hidden costs. And your suppliers can fairly say to you, well, we didn't negotiate that, so you didn't ask, I didn't tell you anything, so that's how it goes. Now we have a contract and we have all these commitments that we align, so unfortunately this will be an extra cost for you. And sometimes we have hidden costs within our own operations, and our suppliers can help us. Maybe then they can change the boxes, how they ship it to us. Maybe they can change some of the colors or how they put their products in the boxes, how they sort and pick their products. And that can help us reduce some costs, internal costs, that maybe we'll have to do it after these products arrive. So, successful negotiators in procurement must thoroughly understand their organization's needs, the market conditions, and the supplier's capabilities, right? That's why when we have requests for proposals, there is a point in the negotiation process where we discard the highest prices and the lowest prices. But teacher, why are we discarding the lowest prices? Aren't we always focusing on cost reduction and all that? Well, maybe your supplier is kind of pushing a little bit further, and they may not be able to deliver what we are negotiating. And you can have a strong negotiation, and even though you might run into difficulties based on the supplier's capabilities, right? Like we said, the negotiation is also based on trust, in honest, but sometimes they push a little bit the negotiation, and hoping that if there are some rupture in the supply chain on their side, we will kind of understand. So we have to be very careful with our suppliers' capabilities. Preparation is the key in negotiation, okay? Including setting clear objectives for you as a buyer, understanding the supplier's motivation, why they want to sell it to us, why they need our business to keep growing. It's not, it might sound very obvious, but depending on what you're negotiating and the amount of money involved in this negotiation, sometimes it's not clear their motivation. Why they're giving me such a big discount on this if I ask a discount on that, right? The end price will be the same, but why they're choosing this, okay? What's their motivation for that? That's why negotiations through procurement offices tend to take longer, especially when we are talking about developing newer suppliers and or negotiating broader scopes to what we want to acquire. So also we have to anticipate possible objections and concerns. So once the buyer is clear what the organization needs, what you want to achieve in that negotiation based on the market condition and the market prices that are offered, you have to obviously look into objections and concerns from the other side. So that's why when we are negotiating, we have to do our homework, and not and I tell you from experience, every time I kind of like got late and to a meeting, or I didn't prepare myself for that negotiation, I either skipped some of the steps that are needed to reach the goal that my company wants, or anticipating my need for that product, and that played a important role whenever the other side is using the same techniques, because they're also negotiating from the seller side, but the techniques are pretty much the same. okay? So don't go into a negotiation without being prepared, okay? So there are several techniques that can enhance the effectiveness of negotiations in procurement. Okay, so once again, it's not just like getting the even price. Like, okay, I offering this product for $200 as a seller. The buyer wants to buy it as for $150. So we got to the point where it will be 175. So this is a poor negotiation when we only focus in the price, in the cost. So there are techniques that can be played on different time in different moments of the negotiation. You can use them together for different areas of the negotiation, or you can use one as depending on what you're negotiating. Okay, so BATNA. Okay, this is just BATNA means best alternative to a negotiated agreement, right? So what's the best alternative? I, as a buyer, presented my needs, my concerns, my restraints, and my goals. And you, as a seller, also presented yours. How can we compromise a little bit on both sides to reach this best alternative? Because if both sides are willing to settle this agreement, all right? So, which involves knowing your best alternative, right? If the negotiation fails, thereby strengthening your bargaining position. So, sometimes we are in a position that, for example, when we are negotiating with FedEx, for example, they're going to be tough. They're not going to change their process just because you want a bigger box or a smaller box or a faster delivery time. They will offer that to you, but they will charge you for that. So we have to be open-minded when our strategies fail, but when we keep in mind what are the objectives, the goals of the organization, we can, it will help us present to our bosses that we got a best and fair negotiation out of this business. Anchoring, okay, this is another technique that is where the negotiator sets the initial offer to influence the range of possible outcomes. Okay, so the seller or the buyer, they already give you, for example, like the request for quotation, for example, it's just they're anchoring. Okay, I want all the companies that are participating in this business, I want them to present me the same product, the same service, so I can compare them fairly. Win-win negotiation, right? Which satisfy both parties, okay? And active listening, all right? So focus on understanding the supplier's perspective, right? Building a report to create a positive negotiation environment, right? Sometimes there are moments where we have to listen because when we listen to it, we will give the opportunity for them to present their factories and also to when we actually respond to that, we will be more confident that we are using all the arguments, all the positions that they presented to us. So active listening. Active listening helps us on everything, right? On everything in business. Active listening is good. Okay, so be prepared to negotiate. It's not personal, it's business. So be open-minded and flexible. Sometimes the strategy of the negotiator is to present you new things, new aspects that you didn't think about it. So that can help you be more flexible, and sometimes it will help them into the strategy that they're getting into it, but we have to be open-minded. So once again, understand the supplier's perspective, know your alternatives. You have to have a plan A, B, C, right? Base your decisions on data and facts. That's why don't start negotiating saying, I think this, I think that, okay? Be very strong based on data and facts. Practice active listening, and the total, understand the total cost of ownership. Okay, it's not total cost of the product, it's total cost of owning the product. All right, so sometimes you can bring to the table items that are not even related to the company that you're negotiating with. You can tell them, okay, I'm buying these products FOB, so I still have to hire a transportation company, a freight company to bring me these goods, and blah blah blah. Once you have this idea of how much that product will cost for you to own, then you can also use this strategy in the negotiation. Okay, so do's and don'ts. Okay, don't be prepared. Don't get to the table without the information that you need, or don't focus solely on the price. Lack of understanding what the supplier needs and their constraints. Poor communication. Today we have emails, WhatsApp, the messaging, but it gets to a point where sometimes you have to pick up the phone and call and clear out some of the misunderstandings that might compromise your negotiation. And also failure to establish clear objectives, like the hidden costs that I told you. Okay, so finally, a good way to, good tips, and this will be for you for life, okay? Stop broadcasting your needs. That's why I put in bold letters, broadcasting, okay? When you are broadcasting like a radio broadcast, you're telling everything, you're talking what your needs. So just get to the point where you have to stop saying what you need and wait what the other side will bring based on what you've said so far. Wait for the final price to start negotiating, okay? Don't just rush into what I need. Obviously, when we talk about items in a RFP or RFQ, we're establishing a standard, okay? But that is not part of the negotiation, okay? That is just based on what we expect from them. And then after they offer their price, then we start getting into the details of the negotiation. Also, this is very dangerous, okay? Avoid fake threats, okay? Sometimes you're in a negotiation and you come to your supplier and say, okay, if you don't accept this, I'm not gonna buy these products with you. Okay, be careful, because they might say, all right, so there are other customers that I can sell my products. So use the threats wisely. The third one is manage trade-offs. What is trade-offs? Trade-offs is when you concede something to get something else, okay? Concession for another concession. I compromise something on my side if you compromise something on your side. And this is also part of the negotiation. Number 4, add personal truth, okay? Show to the other party that you have your goals. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. My company is going through this situation, especially when we are negotiating payment terms. This is very common, okay? When you just say, okay, man, we have a situation with cash flow, It's not on the it's not on the papers, it's not in the media, but we have to, these are the goals that we have, and I'm sure you have your own. So try to add this personal truth, so we will give you accountability. All right. And finally, keeping the vendor honest. What's the vendor honest mean? Means that when sometimes you have a supplier, right? But you don't have a contract with them. You buy spot, you make spot purchase. And the purchasing area, sometimes they get, the kind of like, okay, so I just send you the quantities and you just give me the quotation and that's good, right? So keep an eye on the market, so you make sure that their competitors are offering the same same characteristics. Okay, so when you look and you keep bids, these requests for quotations ongoing, you can keep them open for a year, and it will help you whenever you're negotiating. Hey man, come on, you're why you're raising up like $2 your product? Because of this and that. Well, it's not what your competition is doing, so probably maybe you're not managing your resources well. So I don't accept this raise in the product. Okay, so we'll give you arguments for that. All right, so we got to the keywords of class 1. And Simon, could you please read it to us? I think now we will have a better view and understanding of what they mean.
Sure. Purchasing, competitive price, procurement, contract negotiations, product life cycle, relationship management, strategic goals, cost-effective, long-term value, strategic sourcing, optimized value, cost savings, anchoring, win-win negotiation.
Awesome. Thank you, Simon. So now we will get to our in-class practice, where we can say that where we can look into a real situation, a real dialogue on how we use these arguments, how we use these tools to create a good environment for getting compromises, getting concessions from the other side. Okay, so since we just had Laura today, maybe Laura and I can talk.
Or I can do it, Mauricio, because
all right.
You've spoken a lot. You can save your voice a little bit.
All right. Okay, Simon. So, Simon, you will be Sanjay, and Laura will be Mira. So we're just establishing here a negotiation for laptop models. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, let's go. Let's discuss the purchase of 300 units of your latest laptop model. We reviewed your initial quote and would like to negotiate some terms.
Sir Sanjay, what adjustments do you have in mind?
You've quoted $800 per laptop. Given our order size, we were hoping to negotiate a price of $700 per unit, $750 per unit.
I understand your position. Our pricing reflects the high quality and the features of our laptops. How about 780 per unit?
I appreciate your offer, Mira. Considering our potential for future purchases, could we meet at 765 per unit?
765 per unit is very close to our threshold. But we can agree to that for this order.
Excellent. Now, regarding delivery timeline, you've mentioned the lead time of 6 weeks. We need these laptops within 4 weeks due to an urgent project. Can you expedite the delivery?
Expedited shipping can be arranged, but it would incur additional costs. We could prioritize your order for an extra $20 per unit.
I understand the additional cost. Could we perhaps split the difference and agree on an additional $10 per unit for expedited delivery?
We will strive to accommodate our clients as best as we can. Yes, we can agree to an additional $10 per unit for expedited delivery.
Perfect. Lastly, we prefer payment terms of 45 days instead of the current 30 days. Is that feasible?
Extending payment terms to 45 days can be accommodated.
That's great to hear. Given the smooth negotiation, I'd like to suggest that instead of spot purchasing, we discuss signing a contract for a long-term relationship. This could help stabilize pricing and ensure timely delivery for future orders.
That's a very sensible suggestion, Sanjay. A long-term contract can benefit both sides, but by ensuring a steady supply and potentially better pricing.
Agreed. To summarize, we have a deal for $765 per unit, an additional $10 per unit for expedited 4 weeks delivery, and 45-day payment terms. We will also discuss a long-term contract soon.
Yes, Sanjay, we have a deal. I will prepare the revised contract for this order and let's schedule a meeting to discuss the long-term agreement.
Excellent, Mira. Thank you for your cooperation.
Perfect.
Wow, this
Oh.
was very exciting. I felt like I was in a big negotiation here.
Yes, Simon.
Great. That's exactly what we wanted with this exercise, because once again, as we discussed it previously, wait for their final price. Okay, so they're just giving you a regular quotation. They're just giving your $800 full price per laptop in their quotation. Okay, all right. So that's not the only thing we would like to negotiate. So that's why we have to establish a very good strategy. Once they establish their full price, okay? Because sometimes when we are negotiating, sometimes we just call them, hey, how much is for this? They say, well, it depends, right? So try to make your objectives very clear so they will be able to give their regular price prior to the negotiation, okay? And once you compare, also we're not discussing this in this dialogue, but probably this person here also have other suppliers, other quotations that have different negotiations. So first of all, the first thing that they attacked was the unit price based on what? Based on the quantity of products that they're buying, okay? So this is also very important, the scale of the negotiation, right? Sometimes you don't have to buy the whole quantity that you need just because at the first time, because you might want to try out a little bit. You might have, for example, a couple weeks ago, I had to buy a important item for the company, and it's pretty much like one of the most representative items in the cost of the service that we offer to our customers. But since we have different brands, okay, different brands in the negotiation, and we had a 1,000 unit quantity that we wanted to buy, we decided to have a trial and buying from 3 different suppliers, and then it will give us an idea which one is the best item. Okay, so quantity is a very important issue whenever we start negotiation. We start offering some information, right? And then you can see Mira was also using some of the techniques, trying to be transparent, like, I understand your position, but wait, our prices reflect the quality of our products, okay? And so we're not just talking about numbers, we are giving facts and data, right? So we have here we reach to we had compromises on both sides. We got the price, good. So then we started looking for the lead time, and obviously the Sanjay left this item very open, because probably in other negotiations with other competitors, they had a different way of pricing it. Okay, and so he left it very open on how much, what would be. First of all, is it possible a 4-week lead time, right? And then the other side was also very prepared for that, also explaining that we can do that for additional costs, and they have that cost as well. And pay attention that they already discussed the price. And then they started another negotiation regarding the cost for expediting. And then they reach an agreement using good dialogues, compromising on both sides. And then they came to the payment terms, which is also very, very important. Here it was very easy, okay? But sometimes the payment term is the most important negotiation on that purchase. Sometimes, because when we negotiate longer payment terms, that money is in our account for a longer time. Sometimes we have stocks and bonds invested, our money, and then maybe that will, maybe in the next 30 or 60 days won't be a good time to sell our stocks. But if we push a little bit further to 60 days, 90 days, then it's not the supplier that is giving us a discount. We are saving money in the whole end-to-end process, because we got more interest with that money in the account, reaching a good payment terms with that purchase. And finally, another important thing that they used when they were discussing price, they say that we can agree for this specific order, 765. Okay, so that is implied that the next negotiation, it's not guaranteed. So Sanjay obviously discuss about signing a contract, which we will see in next class, how important that is, and how important is to know what is in the contract, because once again, there are hidden things that can play an important role in the success of the negotiation. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, that's how we break down this negotiation. What do you think, Laura? Did you see the things that we discussed in this class applied in this negotiation, in this dialogue?
Yes, I could notice that it is both hands. When me and Simon we were discussing, I was defending my company goals, and Simon his needs.
Did you see how important it is to do your homework and have arguments? Not only
Yes,
to defend your position, but also to negotiate their position as well, right?
yes.
And arguments, when you have facts, when you based your opinion on that negotiation, that helps breaks down the and give us more flexibility on how we can manage negotiating a better price here or reducing this lead time there, right? So it's not only, oh, I got this best deal with price. No, I'm getting a solution based on the goals of the company, right? Did
Mhm.
you
Let-
did you see that in practice?
Yes, teacher, let me ask you something. I don't know if in this area in logistics we will have time to study our opponent or buyer. For example, if I will have time to study Simon, his company before our negotiation, or
Mhm.
if it happens suddenly, you need to negotiate it right now. Because when I have time,
Mhm.
of course, I think uh, all of us, when we have time to study all the points, the bullet points,
Mhm. Uh,
understand?
I think so. Let me give you what we are preparing for this, what we're thinking for about this module. The negotiation process um, is obviously a very broad term, right? There are techniques we have to practice, and that's why we're giving you the highlights of how we negotiate. Each negotiation has a different setup, okay? So when you have the tips that we put, when you put yourself in the position of being a better negotiator, you have to look for this information on each negotiation, okay? But answering your questions, we will see, we will focus a lot on contracts analysis, and contracts are pretty much what we agreed on negotiations. Okay, so contracts, we can go back in time and see, based on contracts, what were the terms that they used based on their negotiation. Okay, so because if you're buying something spot, okay, I'm buying this for only one time or maybe two times a year. Sometimes you don't have the seller doesn't pay attention on you, right? You just, hey, can you give me a better price? No. Can you give me a better lead time? No. Can you give me a better payment term? No. Right? So that's the position that you are. So that's why each negotiation is a different setup. But when we study contracts, when we look more deeply on how these agreements are based, because contracts are long-term sets of rules that both sides need to follow. Okay, so a good contract is based on good negotiation, and that's what we're going to present it to you. And usually good negotiations lead to contracts. Okay, so
Yes, true.
going back the process, looking back the process, that will help you, at least in this time frame that we have this in this module, to
Mhm.
study on your own and search for these answers. Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Be firmly convinced, always.
Oh,
Yes,
all
yes.
right, that's great. So
Very good, guys.
that's right. That's right, Simon.
Okay, so Laura, great to see you again.
Me
And
too.
we'll see each other again next Thursday for our second class. And until then, have a good night, good rest, relax, and have a great day tomorrow.
That's right, Laura. Have a good rest. And
Thank you.
once again, sending you good vibrations for you to go through this process. And thank you for being here with us today. Next class, be prepared. We will have more negotiations ahead of us. Okay?
Okay, good.
All right. So thank you so much.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Laura.
Bye bye,
Bye.
guys. Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.